So in all the years of teaching personal trainers and educating them all across the world, one question I've always asked them is, how do you define a squat? And most often the trainers would say, well, you know, it starts when you're like sitting down into a chair, and they start describing the action without really understanding what is just a simple definition. And so the definition that I really prefer is it's a fold of the body. So if you were to imagine the body in a squat just folding together like you have a piece of paper collapsing on itself, then that is essentially what a squat is. It's basically my body folding. The ankles are flexing, which creates a fold. The knee is flexing, which creates a fold. The hips are flexing, which creates a fold. That's what we call a squat. Now the value to that is, depending on my stance, if I want to stand with my feet hip width apart and symmetrical, which means they're in the same relative to one another, or if I want to be in an asymmetrical stance or have one foot further forward than the other, or if I want to go wide and asymmetrical, every time I squat, this is still a fold of the body, but the emphasis of where that force enters the body changes relative to the stance. So when we're talking about the split stance and I go down and come back up, we call that a split squat, okay? It's not a lunge. An asymmetrical stance is not a lunge. An asymmetrical stance is just what it is. It's a beginning position. So as I go down and come back up, there's my split stance. If I want to elevate my back foot, my rear foot is elevated and I go straight up and down, it's still a squat. So that's a key point. Now that's in the standing environment. But what if I wanted to change my environment or my beginning position relative to gravity? So we might say, well, what if you're in a prone position, John? Can you squat here? Yep, I just have to fold my body. So that motion there is a squat. So we would call that a prone squat. Well, what if I was side lying? So I'm laying on my side and I'm going to squat. Okay, so that's a side lying squat. So the more that we can start to really hone in on definitions of what particular actions are, the easier it's going to be for us to communicate, and quite simply, it opens up a really big opportunity to create more exercises and to understand that where these forces enter the body can be manipulated by my orientation to gravity, but the action itself has to be simple enough that I can communicate that directly with my clientele, and also to be able to communicate congruently and fluently with everybody that prescribes exercise